Yes. Today is Saturday, the 20th of January 2024. And this is tarot lesson number 121. So 3 things today. One is a little bit about quotes. Then we're going to look at Pluto moving into Aquarius. And then we're going to do an example of a silent question, but you pick 3 cards for the future. So the first point is somebody left a comment. Last time I suggested that you gather quotes and you put them into a notebook or some kind of folder and you number them. And then at the end of a reading, you say to the questioner, pick a number between 1 and whatever. And then you read the quote, because often the quote will sum up what you've been talking about for the last 20 minutes or whatever it happens to be. And somebody wanted to know about making their own book. And I think it's a good idea, because if you find quotes that make sense to you or that say something to you, and you write them all down and put them in a book, it changes you. Every day you read the quote, or every day that you discover a new quote, it changes you a little bit or it changes you a lot. So the exercise of picking a quote every day and putting them into a notebook, at the end of 30 days, you're going to be a very different kind of person. Your thinking is going to be different. It's maybe going to be more clear or more imaginative than it was before you first began picking quotes. So it's a good exercise to find quotes that you like the sound of or that mean something to you, because they will also mean something to the kind of people you do readings for, because we get our own type of people, because we get back what we give out. So if we're giving out a certain type of energy or vibration, we're going to attract people who vibrate the same kind of a way, so that what makes sense to us is also going to make sense in its own way to the other person. So I had in one of the books that I wrote, the Tarot, Our Guide on the Open Road, there's a link to it at thetarot.ca, but there are 2 quotes. I looked through it, and what I did was mainly it's about the Major Trumps and the Rider deck, and as I went through, I tried to sum up a point with a quote, and there's one where Sir Philip Sidney said, "Eagles fly alone. They are but sheep who always herd together." So it's just the idea, eagles fly alone. So if you want to be an eagle, if you want to transform yourself, then, because that's what eagles in a way represent, then you have to fly alone. If you look for other people to support you or to confirm what you believe, it's not going to work, because that's being like sheep and herding together. And so there happens to be an eagle up here in the Wheel of Fortune. So maybe what you do is, with that quote about eagles fly alone, maybe the need to do it your own way, or to forge ahead without automatically having support of other people or understanding of other people. That can be what's important with the Wheel of Fortune, or part of what's important. And if the Wheel of Fortune is upside down, then you want validation or you want confirmation from other people, and you're not willing enough, or there would be a change, there would be an improvement if you were more willing to go it alone, like an eagle. The other quote is longer, and it's from Seneca. "Philosophy is the art of life, and it teaches us what to do in all cases, and like good marksmen, to hit the target at any distance," which I like. And so maybe that's the 8 of batons, the idea of a marksman hitting the target with a bow and arrow here, hitting a target at no matter what the distance. So you can be a long way away from something and you're going to do the right thing that will get you there, or you can be right up close to it and you're going to hit the target as well. So by finding quotes, go onto the internet and do it. It doesn't really matter where you get it from. And on Facebook, people post a daily quote as well. So when you find something that strikes you or that you find interesting, write it down and put it in a book, and then you've got proof, if you want, that the tarot works. So that was part one. Part two has to do with Pluto. So today is the 20th of January, and Pluto, which looks like this, right? That's Pluto, the symbol for Pluto. And it goes into the sign of Aquarius. It's been in Capricorn for a long time. And Capricorn knows government, and governments have been changing and falling and getting messed up for a long time now. But there's going to be a change as of tomorrow, as of tonight, actually, here. When Pluto moves into Aquarius, it's going to be different. What it will mean, I don't know. You will find lots of people on the internet talking about when Pluto goes into Aquarius and making forecasts about what it's going to be like. And what they do is they go back to the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius. Because Pluto takes about 250 years to go once around the zodiac. And so they go back to 1770 or so and talk about what was going on in the world then and blah, blah, blah. The only thing is, Pluto didn't exist in human consciousness 250 years ago. It was only discovered in 1931 or 1930. So you can't legitimately go back to 1770 and talk about what was going on then and make connections with now, because it's a bit like saying, it's a bit like going back 100 years and talking about if they had had the internet back then this would have happened or this would have been possible. But they didn't have the internet 100 years ago. Nobody had any conception that there would be such a thing as the internet. So you can't take what's now and step back 100 or 200 years and talk about anything really, because it didn't exist then. So one thing to tell you, Pluto represents the masses. So this symbol here is a symbol for Mercury, the quick mind, the individual mind. And you've got the cross of matter, a circle of spirit, and a semicircle of soul. And so people, it's like energy comes down from heaven or whatever, and we gather it and it changes us, and then we can influence life on Earth. With Pluto, the same symbols are here. You've got the cross of matter, the semicircle of soul, and the circle of spirit, except when you're a member of a group, when you're you, there's a lot of spirit. There's a lot of individuality. When you're part of a group, there's much smaller amount of individuality and much smaller amount of spirit, and an awful lot more soul, a lot more reflection. And this is what Pluto represents. Think about that and see what you get out of it, because this is this is the planet that's moving into Aquarius. And that's what I wanted to say about that. So it did occur to me when I was thinking about this, what is Pluto in Aquarius? What's it going to mean? And I thought, wonder what would happen if we picked a card. What's Pluto in Aquarius going to mean? And I go like that and I turn it over. The Magician reversed. It's going to be tough. It's maybe an indication that new ideas are not going to be readily accepted. It's going to be difficult to make a new start. The thing about Pluto, it goes forwards and backwards through the zodiac. So it gets into Aquarius tonight, and then it goes forward, and then it comes back again in, I think, August, and it comes back for a couple of months, and then it goes in forward again. So it may be that this Magician reverse refers to 2024, because Pluto goes in, and then it comes back again, and then it goes in again. So maybe it's teething trouble with group activities or with the masses. So look for, or don't expect there to be a clear direction with the Magician upside down. So that was point 2. And point 3 was from last time, some people don't want to ask a question outright. They want to ask a silent question. And so last time I showed you an example of what you could do with past, present, and future, and how you talk about them generally, and leave it up to the questioner to make sense of it, specifically relating it to their situation. So maybe then I was going to do a second example. So let's say somebody has a silent question. They're not telling you what it is, but they want to know about the future. So you pick 3 cards: future, 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 and you turn them over. The future is you thinking about what you care about because it's values for coins, or wondering what you're going to spend your money on, or wondering where your money is going to come from. There's 1 coin on the ground. You've made a part of a choice, or you've made the beginnings of a choice. Now you have to figure out what's going to be step 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got judgment. The decisions that you make, the choices that you make with the 7 of coins ought to be important and ought to elevate you, because judgment is freedom from confinement, represented by the people being in the coffins. And because a trumpet can be an indication of passing on messages, maybe what you do is you figure out what's your message going to be. What are you going to tell the world? And how are you going to tell the world in the future? And whatever you choose ought to be something that's important. So make decisions about your long-term future, maybe, or about the kind of life that you're going to lead, or the kind of life that you want. And the 3rd card, I got the Magician reversed. So that's number 1. And 20 is rebirth and renewal, followed by 1 upside down. So you're going to make some it's not all going to click together the first time you try it. So it's a bit like you need to make some decisions, try to bring things about with the Judgment card, but don't be surprised if it doesn't work out the way you think it's going to work out, because with the Magician upside down, you make a false start. So you try whatever you try, then you're going to have to stop, reorganize, rethink, replan, then you begin again. So it's a bit like that. That's your future. You have to make decisions, make them good ones, and then revise them as time goes by. So we can do that. And the interesting thing, I think, is if we take another 3 cards, when we've got 3 here and we've got an idea of what it represents, but when you've got another 3 cards for the future, we're going to get a different story. And it's when you've got more than one answer, or different cards, the answer to the same question, you begin to develop a deeper or a better understanding of what to say, because this future here looks good. You make decisions, things improve, but then you've got to rethink in the light of a new understanding. Whereas here, we've got the 7 of Batons upside down. You are in some way afraid because you feel the need to defend yourself with the 7 of Batons up here, but it's upside down. So you're overestimating the power that other people have over you, or you're overestimating the power or the influence that the world has on you. And maybe it's time to settle yourself in some way and turn this upright. So you figure out what you care about, what you want to devote your life to is a big kind of thing that sometimes we feel the need to reshape our life and make it better, make it more what we actually want. But it's not just, it's more like, what are we going to be devoted to? Because that's different from just what you want. So this one is maybe more about lifestyle than this one, where it's more about making decisions about what direction you're going to go in. If you take some time to figure out what you're going to devote yourself to, and think about the word devotion, it'll work. You'll find it, and you will get strength because of that period. And maybe what it is, it's about meditation or music or art or finding tranquility, however you find it. So here, this is like, with the Seven of Coins and the Judgment card, this is like going out into the world and doing things. Here, with the Seven of Batons upside down and the Strength card, it's more private and personal. Your future, so your future is face your fears and become strong. And it's kind of personal and private. So you're maybe devoting a certain amount of time each day to meditation or to learning to do watercolor or understanding art. It's a different kind of involvement. It's more like you're involved with you, with the Strength card. You're involved with other people with the Judgment card. And then after you find strength, then you've got a difficulty in some way, because with the Ace of Swords, it's a new beginning, but it's upside down. And it could be that a sword is like, I'll tell you this, I hadn't expected to do this. There was a book published in 1594, I think, by an Italian called Cesare Ripa, and it was called Iconologia. And it had to do with, if you were an artist or a painter and you wanted to show qualities or show something in a painting, you would go to this book and it would tell you what symbols would be correct for the thing that you wanted to represent. So justice was represented normally by a woman holding a scale in one hand and a sword in the right. And with the scale, it means that justice would be given various possibilities and had to weigh them and figure out what was the best. And the sword was the fact that the justice would enforce. It's a sword. It was going to make people obey. And it can be that here with the Ace of Swords upside down, you face your fears, you become strong, but then you lack the energy to do what you know you have to do. So this can be a weakness of will or a weakness of resolution, or you change your mind after you become strong. So it's a bit in the same way that here we've got the Magician upside down, you've got to rethink. Here you've got to rethink as well. But it's not just rethinking. Because it's a sword, which can represent action, it can be that you have to, or you're going to have to be more committed to what it is that you want to do. Because a sword can represent commitment and certainty, because you're going to make it happen. You're going to make it work. So you could then choose another 3 cards and see where you've got a different kind of future. And if you practice with 3 cards and then another 3 cards and another 3 cards, you're going to be able to compare and contrast and see differences between this sequence of events and this sequence of events. And when you've got an idea of what this represents, it can change or improve what you understand from this. So I think that's a good exercise, just to play and to practice and see what you do and what you come up with, because you'll discover more, you know more than you thought you did. Okay, so that was it for today. Thanks for watching. If you've got comments, leave them down below or leave them. And I'll see you in a few days when Pluto is in Aquarius, and maybe see what you notice. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.